Alrighty, artists, so we are ready to move on to step 3. Once you have your circles added to your document, one of the things I want to show you before we move on to curved lines is over on the layer panel. What I would love for you to do is organize your layer panel a little bit right over here. So I actually went in and chose my first layer, which is where I have all my lines. And I went in and I titled that layer as my line layer. So I just titled it lines so that I knew which layer my lines were on. I then went in and all of my layers that were separate circles, I went and labeled those. Circle 1, circle 2, circle 3, by just right clicking and again titling those. And you can just type that right in here. I think that's just easier for when we're looking for a specific layer. It's easy to go back and find the right one if we have them labeled. Otherwise, they'll get all jumbled up and we won't realize what layer we're on. So just make sure you know which layer is your lines. Before doing your curved lines, the cool thing about this is you can go back to your line layer and bolden some of your lines. So if we go to your shape tool again, what you can do is you can change the stroke of the line, for example. So I can change it from what I had it to maybe go higher up to about 13. And I can change the thickness of the line that way too. So we can have a little bit of fun with creating some bolder lines, and the students here in class will be doing the same thing with a Sharpie. So making kind of conscious decisions about how bold those lines are. And I kind of like how I have a bold line next to a thin line, so I might actually leave it just like that. So you get to kind of play around with this and start making some conscious decisions about the thickness of some of these things and the size. So I'm liking how that looks. I might just test out one more here and see if I want to put a bold line right in here. Kind of cool. Let's see. I think that looks kind of neat. Perfect. So once you have your straight lines, the next part of this is going to be after drawing circles, now we're going to move on to 2 curved lines in your design. So the curved lines should begin on your small circles. So they can begin on the same circle or they can begin on separate circles. So the main instruction is just drawing 2 lines from one of your circles. So we are going to move on to drawing more free-form lines that are natural. They're not so geometric and straight. We're going to go over to the left-hand toolbar and click our Draw tool again. And I like the Draw tool over the Pen tool because when we're working with the Draw tool, you have your brush size that you can edit up here. So you can click the size and make that larger. We'll want it pretty small to start off with, so I would say about 8 point is a pretty good place to be. The softness of the brush, you don't want it soft. You actually want a really nice hard edge. So we're going to bring that softness down to 0%. You'll see an example of the line right here, so that's perfect. And then, like we talked about, just creating 2 curved lines that come from your circles. So I am going to maybe choose this one, and I'm going to click and then simply draw the line. I want this one to be curved. They can curve over each other. They can be long lines. They can be short lines. And you want to make sure you have at least 2. So I've got 1 in there, and then my next step would be drawing my second curved line, thinking about where I would like to put that, and maybe I'll just have it kind of coming across the composition to create some movement here. So I might extend it from the same circle. I'll click, and then again, just draw my curved line. And like we talked about, this is going to be very abstract, so we're not drawing anything specific. We are just drawing organic curved lines. Just like that. So now I'm just double checking that I was on my line layer when I did that, so that all of them are on the same layer, and then all my shapes are on separate layers. So just double check that before you move on to the next step. I think that's looking pretty good. Remember always to save your work when you're finished. File, save, and save as a PXD download.